Emmrich, when you catch up to Hezenkoss, just know where your exits are. Sometimes you think you've got someone backed into a corner, and you find yourself there instead.
Speaking from experience?
Too much of it.
I'm sorry. And the advice is well taken. How goes your search for Alia, Neve?
She knows how to stay out of sight.
Caution is paramount when hunting down a blood mage.
Alia's not the first I've dealt with, but she's the nastiest.
In all Minrathous? If I can help.
I'll let you know. Thanks.
I wanted to ask, Neve. You had your concerns about me at first.
A few.
But not Manfred?
What can I say? He's a good egg.
Quite right. What is it like, Neve? Using your magic to uncover wrongs in Minrathous?
You don't need magic for that. Just turn over a rock.
It all sounds so thrilling. Nevarra was showing me some articles about your work.
Those rags?
Yes, let's see. There was the Cordellan Caper, the mystery of the heir of Voldorma.
You can only trust one word in 5 in those papers. About my question earlier, Emmrich. You can't tell how long a body's been dead by how cold it is.
There's too many interfering factors and variables.
So that journal I showed you.
The time of death couldn't be pinpointed based on temperature. No.
Thanks. There's a shadow dragon I want you to meet. Questioning spirits. Does it matter how long the corpse has been a corpse?
Time is a factor, but not necessarily a limiting one.
Right. And condition?
Another factor. Are you interested in the theory?
No. The practical.
Who do you have in mind?
There's a case. I've got a lead. I'm not sure yet, but I'll get back to you.
Anytime.
So, Vorgot.
Yes?
Quite the character.
Some abuses of magic are so cruel, the people must be reassured that transgressions will never be tolerated. Vorgot tends to these matters.
That'd do the trick.
The lights in Minrathous, the level of enchantment for such casual applications, it's a wonder.
It's a party trick.
Those outside the Imperium beg to differ. That quality and duration. I've never seen anything quite like the turquoise light in that one market. Perhaps the owner...
Don't go after the turquoise.
I'm sorry?
The owner's got the only turquoise hue in the city. You start asking around, he'll make sure you stop. Permanently.
Ah, I'll admire from afar. Neve, you're well connected in Minrathous.
I'm connected. Whether it's well connected depends on who you ask.
Of course. It's just that I'm running low on a few key reagents. Myrna's had trouble procuring them as well.
I probably know someone.
Wonderful. Thank you.
The smuggling fees might even be fair.
Neve, your notes on Tevinter protection ward rituals were enlightening. Although I imagine there must be a step between initialization and overlaying the secondary wards.
Sure, but that step's a formality. You can shortcut it.
There's intrinsic mimetic value in the formality.
There's value in finishing a job quickly before the blood mage kills you.
Well, yes, I suppose.
If my version scares you, you should ask Nevarra for hers. I read that book you lent me, Emmrich. Seemed more like poetry than spell instructions.
Well, that's the aim of the Litany of the Buried, to induce a meditation and manifestation of the soul. In practical terms, it better aligns oneself with the Fade before casting.
Well, the magic I tried after it did flow pretty quick. Another day, another dozen problems.
Or opportunities to brighten things.
6 of 1, Professor.
I'm going to regret not doing my morning stretches.
Never skip stretching. Funny thing about Nevarra's mages. You have a lot of influence, but don't run things directly like Tevinter mages.
Politicking happens nonetheless. How anyone untangles that procession of nobles and favors is beyond me.
Must be intimidating if you grew up on the poor side.
What? How did you...
You've done well for yourself since.
However did you deduce I came from poor circumstances as a child, Neve?
You always finish your plate, always first to meals. You're covered in gold, but save all your candle stubs. You give more money than a noble would to beggars and street urchins. And you look them in the eye. A nice word, no flinching. Poor's familiar.
Not for quite some time, but yes.
Look, Emmrich, I wasn't trying to pry before about where you came from.
I don't speak of it often, but I'd never deny it. Besides, I asked about your methods. You've quite an eye for detail.
I just noticed things. This girl I was sweet on in Ducktown always saved her candles like you do. I bought her a little oil lamp.
How lovely.
Didn't burn forever, but it was nice while it did.
Neve, I recently inspected a few charms I picked up in Minrathous. Half of them were imitations.
Let me guess. Lency? Red booth, plaque with a black snake.
That's the man. I'd have noticed if I'd looked right away, but, well, I thought mages were respected in Tevinter.
Sorry, Emmrich. Someone's always willing to take a chance.
How can peddling fake charms be allowed in Minrathous, Neve?
Who's going to stop it?
But no one can sell enchantments in Nevarra without a license and strict inspections from the mage circles.
Huh. A whole system of paying attention.
You mean Tevinter doesn't regulate? But the danger to the public!
And you wonder why I'm busy. So, Emmrich, I dropped in on that merchant who sold you fake charms.
Oh,
Funny thing is, Lency's a wreck. Says he's been seeing and hearing things. Skeletal faces at the window, spirits whispering his false goods endanger lives.
doubtless nightmares of a guilty conscience.
Sure. If I can make it stop, he'll go back to selling linen.
Then I'm sure it shall. I've been meaning to ask if you've ever seen that extraordinary statue of Faustina in Minrathous.
Someone's been visiting the fancy part of town.
My dear Neve, I had to see it. Faustina's song is one of the greatest romantic epics of the Steel Age.
People read that outside Tevinter.
More than one epitaph in the necropolis bears a phrase from the poem.
Still can't figure why that Tevinter poem's so popular in Nevarra.
Faustina's song is a beautiful ode not only to romance, but all shades and forms of love.
Flip side of death.
The measure by which we hold things dear against it. A package of Brynlaw curled leaf arrived for me in Nevarra the other day.
Some kind of tea.
Oh, it has a wonderful fragrance. Crisp and cool, silver rain on a mountainside. If you'd ever like to try a cup.
Nothing's wrong with how I make coffee.
I didn't say so.
Right. Never.
Where is that song from, Neve?
Oh, for one of Cedar Siconia's. Must have liked it more than I thought.
I'll never become accustomed to how quickly the weather changes outside Nevarra.
Seems normal to me. But then the necropolis doesn't see much sky.
Oh, the travel's been delightful, but also a touch damper than I'd anticipated.
Emmrich, that venatori recruiter we stopped in Nevarra City. Can't get over people cheering in the street after we took down her demons.
They'd do the same for you in Docktown.
Not a cheering sort of place. And forget about them bowing.
You seem surprised Nevarra holds mages to different standards than Tevinter, Neve.
We don't hold mages to much at all.
Our people respect us for keeping malign spirits at bay and tending to the dead. A mage's conduct must honor that respect.
Sure. But who's got an eye on you?
Those who came before us.
Right. Should have guessed. How mages treat people in Nevarra sounds too good to be true.
We've our own tragedies. Mages who instigate trouble for their own profit. but they're often found out. And seen to.
Can't see that into Ventir's future.
The Shadow Dragons do. And you've joined them.
I'm a sucker, that's all.
You? Come on.
We'll see.
Solas's records on the Fade. It's the most extensive collection I've seen on the topic. But when it comes to the inner depths, it's still theory. There's nothing concrete. It's fascinating.
I'll take your word for it.
You're not curious?
I've got enough mysteries on our side of the veil.
What was that fruit we had yesterday, Nev? I've never tasted anything like it.
Pineapple? You can get it anywhere in Minrathous.
Delicious. And such a sun-bright yellow.